Would you believe it? It's time for another Smith's track, some more guitar genius from JFM himself, and this has come around a little bit sooner than I intended. Quite recently I did a video on Girl Afraid, which was a beast of a guitar part, and A, really difficult to figure out, and B, really difficult to learn how to play, but I think I'm sufficiently recovered from that experience to feel like tackling another one. And the track I'm looking at today, Still Ill, was requested by a couple of people, and I just found myself playing around with the riff and thought I'd do a quick video for you on how it's played. So let me begin by whizzing through the main bits of the track and then we'll talk about it. So there we go, that's what I've got. And it often feels like I'm trying to crack some fiendish code when it comes to figuring out Johnny Marr guitar parts. I don't guarantee that I've got this absolutely right, but I think it's pretty close. I've listened closely to the recordings and to some live material as well, but I'm sure out there are some nerds who are even bigger Johnny Marr nerds than I am, who will tell me if I've got some of the details slightly wrong. I do actually like it when that happens. I'm not trying to put myself forward here as some kind of authority on how it should be played. I'm just a fan and admirer of his playing, just trying to get a little bit close to what he's doing. So this one is from the first Smiths album, which came out in 1983, and you can also hear it on the Hatful of Hollow compilation album, and that is actually a different recording. I think that was recorded for a John Peel radio session, and I'm not sure which recording came first actually, but in terms of the guitar parts they're both very similar, so I'm not going to labour the differences too much in this video. So let's take a look at what's going on. I'll take you through all of the main guitar parts in nerdy detail. So the track kicks off with this scratched rhythm. And you can just rest your fretting hand over the strings to create that muted sound. You can actually hear some harmonics coming through, so you might just want to hunt along the length of the string to find those points where you can hear the harmonics pop out. So that's the intro to the tune. Just a quick word on the tuning, and Johnny Marr is tuned up a whole step for this song, like he is with a lot of early Smith stuff. And I'm just using a capo at the 2nd fret. That's the easiest solution. It gets you more or less the same sound. And that's in fact what Johnny Marr does when you see him play this song live these days. So get your capo on at the 2nd fret. And I'm going to be talking about this tune in the key of B minor, though of course with the capo on technically it's in the key of D flat minor, but I'm going to be talking about the chord shapes that he's using in relation to the capo. So let's kick off with the opening riff, which goes like this. And what a great riff this is. So I'm going to take you through how the riff is played, and something I also want to emphasize in this video is how these riffs relate to the overall chord progression. Clearly when Johnny Marr writes these songs he's got a chord progression in mind, which is implied by these quite intricate guitar parts and by what the bass and the vocals are doing. So that's something that's not really talked about that much, I don't think. So I'm going to talk about the overall harmony of this and then how these single note and double stop guitar parts relate to that. But let me give you the notes of this main riff to start with. We're kicking off with this. So we've got this little shape here. So fret 4 on the 3rd string, and then fret 3 and fret 5. Just arpeggiating that shape, and then pressing down at the 5th fret on the 2nd string. And then we're lifting up that 3rd finger to go back to the previous shape, and then just sliding it up 2 frets. And important, there's a little rest in the middle of that phrase, so I'm just releasing pressure with my fretting hand fingers. Just there. And that slide is an important element to it as well. I didn't really hear that until I listened very, very closely, but it's an important element of how the riff feels, I think, just getting that slide in the right place. Then we've got 2 of these 6th shapes here. So I've got the, I'll call it the actual fret number here. This is the 9th fret on the G and high E strings, and then taking that 2 frets higher. Then the riff repeats. And there's just a variation on the ending of the riff the 2nd time round. So little double stop thirds here. So this is the 9th fret on the G and B strings. Then we're coming down to the 2nd fret. So it's confusing here because we've got the capo on, so I'm doing a combination of relative to the capo and actual fret numbers, but I hope you understand what I mean. We're going from here down to here. And I think there's a little open B string in passing which takes you round to the top of the riff again. So So that's the riff. Let's talk about how it relates to the overall harmony then. The chords to this section of the tune, as I'm hearing them, although there's not actually an instrument playing these chords, it's all really implied, but these are the chords that Johnny Marr is strumming when you see him play it live when he's playing on his own. And if he's singing, then he's just strumming the chords rather than attempting to play this quite tricky riff and sing at the same time. But the chords he's playing are these. We've got B minor to G, A, G, A. So that's our basic chord progression, and interesting how this main riff relates to those chords. So we've got this, which is really giving us a B minor 7 sound, and this part is played over the G, so we've got, that's giving us a G major or a G6 sound. We've got chord tones here, so 3rd, 5th and the 6th. We're sliding up, and that's taking us to the A chord. Again, it's double stops that he's playing, but he's hitting those important chord tones, which is why this riff works so well. So going from the 3rd and the 5th of G to the 3rd and the 5th of A. And then these parts here are 6, but they're also chord tones. You could see them as the outer notes in a triad shape. So we've got triads there which are reflecting the overall harmony. So it's a very clever riff, this one. Let's have the main riff slowly. Let's let's move on to the chorus, and this was the trickiest bit to figure out, I think, and this is what I've arrived at. So once again we're outlining the basic chords. So the basic chords here, we've got F sharp minor to a B minor and then G and A. So we're starting off with an F sharp minor. I think rather than playing this big bar chord shape, I'm just playing this shape here. So it's 4th fret on the A and the D, 2nd fret on the G and the B. So just arpeggiating that shape. I think occasionally he might hammer into that chord shape. So 2 to 4 on the A string. I'm not certain about that. I think the bass is certainly doing that hammer on, and that might just be what I'm hearing. But you can either play that or add in that hammer on if you want to. So then we're switching to B minor or B minor 7 in this case. So this shape here, and just arpeggiating that. And we're actually just lifting up the 2nd finger to give you that 9th in there. And then we're going to this shape. And this is the most interesting chord in the song, I think. So we've got 3rd fret on the lower E string, and then I'm barring at the 2nd fret on the A, D and G. So it's reflecting this G chord harmony, but we've got a 6th in there and a 2nd as well. So, and then we're going to an A shape. So now the hardest thing here is to decide exactly which notes he's picking in this part. I think there are some variations. It's not necessarily a fixed part all the way through. There are some little differences I can hear each time he repeats this part of the song. And what is easy to hear is the highest notes in this riff. So those are the really important ones which really pop out and create a little melody. The other notes are more subliminal and they're more there just for the feel. But this is what I've arrived at if I just play it slowly. Notice also the really nice use of open strings. I mean, some of these notes are almost subliminal, but they help with the feel of the riff and they help smooth the transition between these chords. A little bit faster. Then we've got possibly my favourite bit of the song. So the whole song lifts here. It's going to the relative major to D, and the chords that I'm hearing here are D, G, and once again those chords are reflected in Johnny Marr's choice of notes here. So we've got this beautiful sounding chord shape here. So it's 9 on the G and B and an open top string. And then I'm just sliding up my 3rd finger 1 fret on the B string. And then sliding that entire shape up 2 frets. Kind of a combination of single notes and double stops. It's a little bit strummy in this section as well. that's about it really. You've got the main riff, you've got the chorus part, and then you've got that little connecting part where the whole song lifts up. So it's all just those parts repeated for the rest of the song. Then at the very end of the tune, it's back to the scratches and ends on a B minor 7 chord. Let me talk you through the gear that I'm using today. Guitar is my Jazzmaster 65 reissue Jazzmaster. I've got the pickup selector in the middle position. I think that was the sound that I was using for most of this video, so both of the pickups on at the same time. Amp wise, I'm going into my Vox AC30. Then I have a few pedals as well. I've got some compression from the MXR Dynacomp. I've got my J-Rocket Archer overdrive on, not really for overdrive, really just to warm up the sound a little bit, so the gain is set very low. It's still a clean sound that I'm going for. Then I've got some chorus coming from a Boss CE2, and on the original recording of this tune I'm not even sure there is any chorus on it at all, but got some chorus on it today because chorus is great. And then for my little playthrough at the start, I think I had a bit of delay on as well, and that's coming from the Catlin Bred Belle Epoque Deluxe. This is the sound of the guitar going straight into the amp. Add some compression. And then the overdrive. The chorus. And then finally some delay. That's it for this video. I think I'm all Johnny Marred out for the rest of this year, but if you would like to see me do some more Smith stuff or some more Johnny Marr stuff generally, maybe some solo stuff or some stuff that he's done with other artists, let me know and I'll try and make that happen at some point. Thanks very much for watching. As usual, the tab is going to be up on my Patreon page and I'll see you next time.